Welcome back to Think Outside the Board and a new edition of the Crowdfunding Roundup. In this video series, I give you my picks for the best crowdfunding bets of the last week. And in this week, we'll be looking at everything that premiered between July the 5th and July the 11th. As always, I have my videos bookmarked or tabbed, so if there's something specific that you're looking for, you can just go down into the tabs and click on that content. Also, in the description section down below, I have links to all the campaigns that I'm talking about. So if you're interested in backing any of these, rather than trying to hunt the campaign down, you can just go down into the description section, click on the link, and it will take you right there. Thank you very much for joining me today. The best way to support this channel is still to like and subscribe, and we have 8 different games to take a look at today, 8 different campaigns. We're going to watch some videos, and I'll go over the pledges and outline the various content that's in each pledge, and talk a little bit about each campaign, the type of game it is, sometimes the creators behind it, and sometimes, if it merits it, the risk that's involved. The first campaign of the week is for Coloma New Prospects Expansion and Reprint. This campaign is over on Gamefound. The next campaign that we're going to take a look at is also on Gamefound, and then the 6 campaigns at the end will all be on Kickstarter. Also, this campaign launched on July the 5th, and if we go down here, we can see that the campaign is going to end on July 19th. Now, Coloma is a game that has existed for a while now. It was first designed by Johnny Pack and released under a different title. It was called Hangtown. And then he redesigned it. In 2019, it came out called Coloma. So, and this has a 7.4 rating on BGG, if you're just kind of curious about what the rating is. Also, the weight here is 2.97. I generally consider anything with a 2.55 or above to be a medium heavyweight game, and this is solidly in the medium heavy range. Anything 3.33 or higher I would class as heavy. So this is kind of right in the middle of that medium weight range. And you can see this is what it looked like when it was Hangtown. It was, obviously not as involved a game kind of production-wise, and this had a 7.3 rating on Board Game Geek. So it was redesigned into Coloma, and then there was also a deluxe version put out of that. Now, the new expansion here is called New Prospects. Just so you know also, this is a worker placement game. It's Western themed. It's designed by Johnny Pack, who is a designer that I really like. And the art here is by Mihailo Dmitrievsky, also known as the Micho, and the publisher is Final Frontier Games. Now, I think all 3 of these entities you may have heard of before, so we're just going to take a quick look at the kind of things they've done in the past. So Johnny, as a designer, has been involved with Merchant's Cove, Coloma, A Fistful of Meeples, Sierra West, Lions of Lydia, Unconscious Mind. This one is going to be delivering, I think, later this year or next year. It's got a 2023 release date, so hopefully it's going to be delivering later this year. There we can see Hangtown, and then he's worked on some other things as we go down. A lot of stuff for Coloma. Also, he did some work on Endless Winter. I believe he was a developer on Endless Winter. The designer was Stan Kordonsky, but he worked on some of the modules and things. So Johnny is a really good designer and a great human being. And then we've got art from the Micho, who's worked on a lot of the Final Frontier games, also on a lot of the Valeria games, and also all of the Garphill games, almost all of the Garphill games. So that includes the Of the North Sea King trilogy, of the West Kingdom trilogy, and now the Of the South Seas trilogy. So, here's a look at everything that he's worked on here. It's just, also Endless Winter, right, the Imperium games, Imperium Classics, and Imperium Legends. And I'm just bypassing all the other stuff that I already mentioned. So Merchant's Cove, Coloma, of course, the original, Claim, this game Viral, Dice Settlers, Game of Thrones, Hand of the King, Rise to Nobility, that's another game by Final Frontier Games. And then the publisher here, Final Frontier games. They're best known for, well, Merchant's Cove, Coloma, Rise to Nobility, Fistful of Meeples, Robin Hood and the Merry Men, Monsters on Board, Cavern Tavern. We start to fade from there. Drawn to Adventure, Spook Manor, Solani, The Girl Who Made the Stars, Bardwood Grove, which still has yet to deliver. Obviously the date is going to be 2023 when it does release, when it does deliver, but this was pushed back, as a lot of things have been in the last few years, probably partly due to the pandemic, but this is coming pretty soon, I think by the end of the year. Okay, so that's kind of a look at the designer, the artist, and the publisher here for Coloma New Prospects. Now, we're going to watch the video, and then we'll take a look at the 4 pledges and the add-ons. So, if it's not obvious, Coloma New Prospects is an expansion. And let's take a look at the 4 pledges. Before we do that, though, there was a funding goal here of $30,000 for this project. They're currently at $192,000, so they're very well funded. You know, they're at 640% here now, so this is definitely happening. And Final Frontier Games, I've backed a bunch of things from them before, and I think you should have a lot of confidence backing with them. Also, the fact that, you know, this is a game that's existed before, at least the base game, so this isn't really, you know, new cloth for them. This is sort of a reprint and a new expansion. Okay, so we've got 4 pledges. If we go down here, the first one is for New Prospects, $29 pledge. This is just for the new expansion. And the shipping on this in the continental US is $15, which means the total pledge is going to be $44. Now, if you do not have the deluxe edition of the game, or I should say if you don't have the game period, you can pledge the deluxe edition. So you're going to have, you know, the base game here and then the deluxe upgrade pack. And that's what that's going to look like. You're also getting this promo cards pack, I think with every pledge. And if you're curious what the deluxe upgrade pack looks like or what's in it, you're going to get 6 Meeple Pioneers, 6 Pioneer cards, a Metal Sheriff badge, 40 clay poker chips, 30 golden nuggets, 6 custom scoring markers, and a custom year marker. So this is also something that you could get if you got it at retail and you now want to upgrade to the deluxe version. You can just get the deluxe upgrade pack. I think that's available as an add-on, and we'll come back to this later. But this is the deluxe version of the game, so you got the base game and the deluxe upgrade pack, $79, $20 in shipping for the continental US, so you're looking at a total pledge of $99. Now, the next pledge here is the Pioneer Pledge. This is, again, for somebody who doesn't have Coloma but wants everything, including the new expansion. So you're going to get the deluxe version of the game and, you know, the promo pack and this new Prospects expansion. And this has a $25 shipping price attached. So you're looking at $133 in total for this pledge. Let me just go up here and make sure that the promo packs do come with just the expansion. And yes, they do. So the final pledge here is the Mother Lode Pledge. And basically what's happening with this pledge is they're taking this Coloma, the Pioneer Pledge, so everything Coloma, and then they're also adding in a Fistful of Meeples and that game's expansion, which is called A Few Meeples More. So you're basically adding on a new game and its expansion. And the pledge price here is $159. In the continental US, you're looking at $30 shipping, so that would raise that to $189. One last thing that I should mention, if you are backing this Mother Lode Pledge here, in addition to A Fistful of Meeples and its expansion, you're also getting this Coloma Big Box. So this is a big box that holds everything, the deluxe game, the new expansion. It's $29 if you're purchasing it separately. If you're adding it on, it's not included in any of the Coloma pledges, the 3 pledges that are just Coloma, which means if you still want the big box and you're not getting that pledge that includes A Fistful of Meeples, you'll need to add on the big box, and it's $29 as an add-on. And as I mentioned before, if you have the retail version of the game and you're wanting the deluxe upgrade pack, you can add that on for $25 here. There's also a Frontier deck, which is just a set of playing cards with the Micho's Western art from the game. That's available as an add-on for $9. And I should mention that any add-ons that you add on will also add $5 onto your shipping price. So for instance, if you were looking at doing this Pioneer Pledge, we said that this is going to be $133, but if you wanted the big box with it, you're looking at another $34 on top of that. So $29 for the big box, an additional $5 for shipping, so a total price of $167. You can also add on A Fistful of Meeples or the expansion, and they also have premium mats that you can add on. And there's also a premium mat case here, storage, with a window in it, so you can actually see what mat is in there without having to open it up if you own a lot of mats. So these are the various add-ons that are available. Just keep in mind that each one that you add on your pledge will also increase your shipping by $5. And finally, Final Frontier Games is planning on delivering this campaign in May of 2024. So that was our first campaign, and you can see I am actually pledging this one. I'm pledging it for the Pioneer Pledge with the big box. There is a Outlaw Meeple here because I was following the campaign ahead of time. And it doesn't look like there was a way to add that on after the fact. So I think in order to get that, you had to have been following the campaign before it started. Okay. Our second campaign is also on Gamefound. This is for a game called Planet Unknown, and this is the Supermoon expansion and also the reprint of the Deluxe edition. Now, much like Coloma, we can come over here and take a look at the original game itself. Here it is. No, I messed it up. Okay. Planet Unknown. So this currently has an 8.0 rating on Board Game Geek. It was published in 2022. And the weight on this is 2.21, which is kind of just over the line from light to medium light. So this is a much lighter game than Coloma. Now, this one, if we take a look at this here, they had a funding goal of $35,000. They're currently at $498,000, which means this is the biggest campaign that we're going to be looking at this week in terms of sheer dollars pledged. Now, this is a tile placement game that uses polyominoes. It's published by a company called Adam's Apple Games. They haven't published that many games. They have published a few games, namely Bruin USA, Four Humors, Sword Crafters, which was a very kind of interesting, cool game where you kind of put together a physical sword, but it didn't really catch on as much as it was hyped to. I think because it was a little awkward and the components maybe had some problems. But a few years ago, people were talking about Sword Crafters quite a lot because it was such a unique game. They also produced Thrive and Truck Off. So maybe you've heard of those, maybe you haven't, but I would say that Adam's Apple is not as prolific and has not made as many games or as well-known games as Final Frontier. So let's take a look at their video though, and then we'll come back and look at the 3 pledges that they have going on and their add-ons. But before we do though, they're obviously well-funded. We already mentioned this. And the campaign for this one launched on July 5th, the same day as Coloma. This one's going to complete its campaign on July 28th. So let's watch this. There we go.
Greetings, Planeteers. We've taken damage from the recent meteor shower, but the planet is still okay. While your primary objective remains unchanged, we're going to need a backup plan to preserve the future of humanity. We still need 1 to 6 Planeteers to build the best planet in 70 minutes, but your scope now includes developing the Supermoon while at its nearest point. You're already well equipped with a rotating Tetris-tile polyomino space station, but you can now upgrade the hardware to prevent the gaming galaxy from componentry chaos. I've selected you because you are the best and the brightest. Godspeed, Planeteers.
Planet Unknown Supermoon is the first expansion to the 2022 tabletop hit, Planet Unknown. Players now must decide whether to place their tile onto the planet or onto the moon, advancing their 2 resources as usual. The moon comes equipped with a new laser satellite for meteorite removal, and you can even deploy a lunar rover. Each player will have access to 6 salvage tiles and may choose to ignore the space station draft, instead placing 2 salvage tiles independently. If you're up for the challenge, the planet Persephone was severely impacted by the asteroid, but the fractured core tiles look like they're stable enough for development. This fractured planet certainly looks like a good proving ground for the new corporation. The Supermoon expansion gives players a lunar puzzle to solve, new planet and corporations to win, and even more modules to explore. Join us as we take one giant leap forward to Planet Unknown.
So we've got 3 different pledges that we're concerned with here. The first is for the new Superman expansion, and as they showed in the video, there's this huge kind of tile tray that you can use in the game, and you obviously can use it for storage too. All the little polyominoes slot into there. But the game was first produced without a lid for that tray, and as a lot of you gamers probably know, sometimes you can have a great insert, but if there's no lid on it and you're storing your game, horizontally, as soon as you tilt it up, a lot of times if it's not really packed in there with the board and things covering it up and it's really tight, all those tiles will spill out. And so I think that was a problem with Planet Unknown. So they've gone ahead and they've produced a lid for this expansion, but the lid is actually for the base game. So you're basically going to get a copy of the lid with any pledge. So if you back just the Supermoon expansion, which will give you that, the new moon board that you can choose to play on as well as your main board, and playing on the moon board will kind of generate you more resource income. This expansion is $30. It's got an $8 shipping fee in the continental US, so it's $38, and you are going to be getting a lid in this pledge. So if you have, a previous copy of the game, you'll be getting a lid for that. Now, if you don't have the base game, but you'd like to get the base game, a new copy of it, Deluxe Edition, you can do this. Here, $100, and the shipping fee in the continental US for this is $15. So $115 total. That will give you the Deluxe Edition of the base game and a lid. And if you'd like to combine pledges and get the Deluxe Edition of the base game with the lid and the Supermoon expansion, that's $130. There's also a $15 shipping fee for this pledge in the continental US, so you're looking at $145 total. There are a couple of add-ons. Okay, you've got neoprene planet mats. So these don't come in any pledge level, but if you want the neoprene mats, you can add those on. You've also got this hobby retail edition content upgrade. Now, what this is all this stuff that is not in the retail version of the game. So if you have the retail version of the game and you're kind of coming into this now and you want the lid and maybe the expansion, but you'd like to upgrade your version to the Deluxe Edition, then you want to add on this as well. It's $20. Finally, there are these wooden bits and plastic bits. Now, if you bought it at retail, you're going to have wooden bits in the game. If you like the plastic bits that were part of the Kickstarter edition, you can add these on here for $12. I don't think that they're included in this retail edition hobby upgrade. Let me just see. Pretty sure no. So if you're fully trying to upgrade to that deluxe edition, you want to add on this content upgrade for $20 and the plastic bits for $12. So what the heck are these wooden bits for? Well, if for some reason in the past you backed the Kickstarter and you got the plastic bits, you didn't also get the wood bits, so you only got the plastic bits. If you're someone who'd rather have the wooden bits, you can get them here as an add-on for $8. There's also the Supermoon mats. These are obviously different than the main mats. These are going to be for just the Supermoon little mini boards. And then there's a Spanish language edition over here. So these are all of your add-ons. And then finally, Planet Unknown and its new expansion, Supermoon, they are planning to deliver in April of 2024. Okay, that brings us to our 6 Kickstarter campaigns. First of these is called Wolves. This one launched on July 10th. This is a semi-cooperative game. It uses hand management. And when I say semi-cooperative, what I mean by that, if you're familiar with games like Australia or CO2 or CO2 Second Chance, those games have a mechanic in there where if anyone who's playing doesn't do something, or the kind of game runs off its rails at a certain point, the game can actually win. So you need to get to a point in these games where you've collaborated on a lot of mechanics, maybe for like 2/3 of the game, to satisfy those requirements. And then at the very end, players can break out a little bit and really go hardcore competitive. But there are situations and goals and things in all 3 of these games where if they aren't fulfilled, then all the players are going to lose the game together. So that's kind of what's meant by semi-cooperative game. Everyone has to work together to fulfill certain criteria, and if they don't do that, then everyone's going to lose the game. But they need to do that to a certain point, and then at that point it becomes a competitive game. So semi-cooperative. And we're going to take a look at this video here. There's really one pledge for this game, but there is a role-playing game called Coyote and Crow, the role-playing game, and that is by the same designer and publisher. It's not something that you might be familiar with because it is a role-playing game if you're only into board games and not role-playing games, and if you were to look it up on Board Game Geek, it's a role-playing game, so it's not going to be there. But that has, I've heard a lot of good things about it, and you can get that. It's out there in the wild. It's been around for a little while. But there are some pledges that bake in the role-playing game and some other things by the publisher. So those pledges will be in addition to just the Wolves game. But we're going to watch this video and then we'll look at the single pledge that is just the Wolves game and a few other things that bundle in various elements. Before we do that, though, the funding goal here for this campaign was $25,000. It launched on July 10th. They're currently at $53,000, so they're over double their funding goal. And as we can see here, the campaign is going to end on August 7th.
In spring, resources are plentiful. You can even pass along some to your neighbors in need. They'll certainly be appreciative, and your own people will respect you. But as you progress toward winter, food and material will become scarcer. You'll have to start relying on each other to last through the year. Wolves is a semi-cooperative board game for 3 to 6 players from the makers of the award-winning role-playing game, Coyote and Crow. You'll take on the role of a leader of a community attempting to gather enough resources to survive through the winter. Wolves incorporates simple hand and resource management with push-your-luck mechanics. Along with a gifting process where resources are not bought or traded, that are given away freely. Players gain individual status for gifting their resources to others, as well as supplying extra to their own people. If all players survive through the winter, the player with the most status is elected chief among all of the communities. But if any community fails to have its needs met, all players will lose the game. To survive, you'll need to carefully balance what you want, what your community needs, and what your neighbors are asking for. You can all make it together through careful planning and behaving like a pack.
Another thing I should mention is that this game is designed, art, everything published by Native Americans. And the role-playing game, Coyote and Crow, is a really interesting looking role-playing game where it takes the alternate future where the United States was never colonized by white people, by England. And so the Native Americans kind of grew in a different way. And it's this science fantasy futuristic world where Native Americans kind of evolved and grew without the genocide by the white man. It looks really cool to me. Also, remember, this is a 3-player minimum player count. So you're not going to be able to play this game at 2 players because of, the interaction between players and community and trying to kind of do everything together and make sure everyone's needs are met. There's a minimum 3-player count. Kind of like bidding games, negotiation games, you often need that 3rd player. If it's just 2 players with those kinds of mechanics, they don't really work very well. Now I'm just going to put the pledges over here on the left side of the page. There's an environmental commitment blurb here about there not being any plastic in the game, which is great. And there's also some information about the creative team, which is, as I said, all native. If we go down a little bit further here, though, all right, we can see the pledge levels, and they mirror the pledge levels over here. So for a copy of the game, it's $55. Now, this only ships to Canada and the US, so just know that. If you're in Europe, I understand it sucks, but there's no way to pledge this game at this time. This is purely a North American campaign. The other thing is that I don't love, they don't list the shipping. They say that shipping's too erratic right now, and so you're not going to find out how much the shipping cost is until it's time to do the pledge manager. And while I understand that mindset, I think it's not a good one. I think you at least have to give people a shipping estimate. I think it's unfair to not at least include an estimate, because then there's no marker in terms of what the shipping could be. I've seen campaigns where shipping is actually more than the game. Now, it's probably unlikely since this is only being produced and distributed in North America, so they don't have to cross oceans or anything like that. So it's unlikely that the shipping will be just absurd, but it's still nice to have even an estimate so that there is some kind of, if not a guarantee, an estimate that the shipping won't be crazy. But you're not going to get that with this campaign, so it is an unknown. And as I said, the publisher's gotten a lot of praise for the role-playing game, but as we can see over here, this is the first campaign and the first board game that they've put through Kickstarter. So it's a little riskier. They're doing some things here that is new for them, but they're also not a publisher that's never done anything. But I don't love the shipping thing. So anyway, so that's the first pledge here. $55 for the Wolves. Shipping, TBA. And if you do the second pledge here, $110. And basically, that just means that they're going to take a second copy of the game. You're basically pledging 2 copies of the game, right, in full. But they're going to take that second copy and they're going to donate it. So if you're feeling very charitable, that's something you could do. The third pledge price here is this games pack. And as we can see over here on the left, that's going to include the role-playing game, sort of a DM type screen, a story guide screen for the role-playing game, some custom dice, and then the dice game, which is this one down here, this Nasi dice game that was themed off of the role-playing game. So that's $230 plus whatever shipping ends up being. And then finally, if we go down a little further, we've got this $350 package. This is the Superfan package. That's $120 more than the games pack. And that is going to add on some enamel pins and then a signed and numbered brand new piece of art. And that's it. So this just adds on some, I'd call them vanity rewards. It's things that people don't really need. It doesn't contribute to the game, pins and art. But if you really like these kinds of things and if you have money to burn, then you could get some unique art here for an additional $120, along with those pins. Finally, this campaign is planning on delivering in March of 2024. I'm really intrigued by this game. I'd really like to play it. I'd really like to check it out. I'm actually even more intrigued by the role-playing game, but I'm not sure if it's something that I'm going to be backing at this time. But I think other people out there, certainly Burnt Island Games, Off the Page Games, they're both pledging this, and it's really unique. I think the whole story behind this, and I'm intrigued by the game. I think it looks pretty cool. All right, moving on from Wolves, we go to campaign number 4. This is Hamlet by the Lake. This is from Mighty Boards, and this campaign launched on July 11th. All of the campaigns that I'm going to be talking about from here on out, they were all July 11th launches. So that was last Tuesday, just a couple days ago. 2 days ago from when I'm shooting this. And they had a funding goal here of $11,000. Not very much because they're just really trying to produce this expansion. This is kind of like the Planet Unknown campaign and the Coloma campaign, where they're doing an expansion, but they're also giving you the opportunity to get the base game as well. But a low funding goal here of $11,000. They're at $172,000, so this is very well funded. In fact, this is the largest multiplier of all the campaigns that we're going to be looking at this week. So I think right now they're at about 15 times their funding goal, and no other campaign out there this week has surpassed that multiplier, probably partly because this funding goal is pretty low. All right, so this is Hamlet by the Lake. This one is a tile placement game. It's not polyominoes though. The game, the pieces are kind of random. You'll see when we take a look at the video and kind of scroll through the campaign. The tiles that you're using this are variable and they're not polyominoes. Now I'd like to take a look at Hamlet over here. The village building game. You need to make sure you're looking at that, not this other Hamlet. There's a few different Hamlet games that have been produced over the years, but this is the village building game. And the reason that I wanted to look at this, well, first of all, it's always good to look at the score, right, of a game that already exists. So this is a 7.0 on Board Game Geek. And the weight here is a 2.93, which, much like Coloma, is kind of in the middle of that medium-heavy range. This is for 1 to 4 players, so you can play this solo. And here's what I wanted to look at. David Churko is the designer, and the publisher here is Mighty Boards. We're not going to look at the artist because Hamlet is his first published game. But David Churko is a designer that I'm really starting to like quite a bit. And here's what he's done. He did The Pursuit of Happiness. They just had a big box version of this deliver. He's designed Petrichor. He's designed this game, And Then We Held Hands, which is a really cool little 2-player cooperative game if you can find it. But it was made in 2015 and it's no longer in print. And so those are David's main games. And the stuff that I've played of his, I really like. And Mighty Boards, let's take a look at what they've done, because they've produced things that you may have heard of, and a lot of games that I like. So they've got Excavation Earth, they've got Petrichor, Posthuman Saga, Vengeance Roll and Fight, which is kind of a roll and write version of Vengeance, and then a war game called Days of Ire Budapest 1956. So that is their output, and they've done a bunch of games. I would not be worried at all about backing a Mighty Boards project. And in fact, we can see that Daily Magic Games and Mindclash have backed this. Mindclash is probably my favorite publisher ever. So it's nice to see that they're supporting Mighty Boards here. But we're going to take a look at this video, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at the 4 different pledges, and we'll also talk about the upgrade kit. There is an upgrade kit that if you have backed Hamlet before, you're going to get for free.
Welcome to Hamlet, the 1 to 4 player village building game. And we mean that to the very core. An actual growing communal village where placement of buildings and connection with roads matter. Workers running across the village working on woodcutters on farms. Donkeys delivering resources from one building to another building that needs them. An emergent economy where resources are being made, refined into higher quality materials, and then used to construct new buildings. Or sold at the market for gold. Or most importantly, delivered to the center of town to contribute to the building of the church. And then, one day, the church is finished. And what we knew as a hamlet in the country has become a fledgling town. And now, introducing Hamlet by the Lake, the new expansion for Hamlet, where the gaps that form in between the tiles become lakes. Now, villagers can go fishing. Fish tiles from the bag, and can either sell the fish or cook them into seasonal meals with special abilities. Boats can be built, which allow villagers, donkeys, and resources to cross. This time though, only one player owns those boats, so it can create areas on the board where only one player can have access. So, back us now to get access to the new wooden 3D church, metal coins, all of the custom printed wooden meeples, and the one-time limited print of Hamlet by the Lake Founders Edition. Thank you for stopping by. We hope you like it here.
All right, so this is kind of interesting, I think, the way that they've done this. All right, what's new? There's the game, the new expansion. This new wooden church is kind of important. Previous versions had a cardboard church, and we can see that the new wooden church is going to be a little bit smaller, but it's wooden. All right, new gameplay. Let's go down here, though. Why back now? Why? All right, this is all the stuff that's in this version of the game, right? 16 custom illustrated meeples, Kickstarter exclusive. 24 custom illustrated donkeeples, Kickstarter exclusive. 30 metal coins, a wooden church. All this stuff. All of these things. Okay, so there's a returning backers upgrade kit, right? It's got the wooden church, it's got these refined resources, it's got these raw materials, some updated tiles, all of this stuff. You can see I've already backed the expansion here. But there is this pledge, the upgrade kit. Now, this is for returning backers only. And what this means is, if you back this, you're getting this free. Yet you have to pay €5 for this pledge price. The reason why is there is going to be shipping associated with this. You are going to have to pay the shipping. So the €5 will go towards the shipping. But the pack itself is going to be free. So when it comes time in the pledge manager and you have to pay shipping, you'll just deduct the €5 from that shipping that you already paid here for this pledge price. Let me just scroll down over here because I want to get a look at that. Yeah, so here's the upgrade kit, right? Free for returning backers. So if you backed Hamlet the first time around, you're going to get this included in your pledge for free. And you can do that. The reason that you might be doing this here is if you don't want to back Hamlet by the Lake, but you still want the upgrade kit. So you're going to do this, pledge this here, pay your €5, and then when time comes for the shipping, you'll just be deducted that €5 out of the shipping, but you won't actually have to pay for the upgrade kit. If you're backing any other level and you're a previous backer, you'll just get this for free. You won't have to, pledge a separate level for it. And if you do decide to back this upgrade kit, the shipping on this is €10 total. So essentially, you'll be paying half for it when you pledge, and then the other half later in the pledge manager. But you'll only be paying a total of €10 for the shipping. That computes to $11 US. And you're getting that, essentially a $25 upgrade kit for free. You just having to pay for that $11 in shipping. Now, for people who didn't back previously, if you do want that upgrade kit, you can add it on. And it's available here, €20, which is $25, and it'll be available, in the pledge manager and kind of as an add-on. So that's the first pledge. Just knowing that you can get this for free. If you don't want the new expansion, and if you want this and you're not a backer of the original game, you can just add it on. Now, if all you want is the new expansion, that's available at this pledge price. It's $34. It's got a $13 shipping fee in the continental US. You're looking at a total pledge price of $47 with shipping. If you don't have the base game and you're not interested in the new expansion, you can pledge this. It is $62, $17 shipping in the continental US. So all in, you're looking at a total price of $79 for the deluxe edition of the game. And if you don't have it and you want to get a bundle that includes the base game and the new expansion, you're looking at $90, $19 shipping in the continental US. So a total price of $99. And the only real add-on coming back to it is that upgrade kit for $25. And then if you're actually adding that on because you're not a returning backer, so you're paying for it in full, remember it's going to be $25 for the upgrade kit and then $11 in shipping, so $36 total for the upgrade kit. Finally, Hamlet by the Lake. This campaign is planning to deliver in July of 2024. That brings us to the back half of the video. We've got a game here called Luddite, and this is a roll and write game. It's being put out by a publisher called Cogito Ergo Meeple, which is I think therefore I Meeple. They haven't done too much, so a little bit of more of a risk, I think. But they did produce a game previously called Solar 175, which is a space-themed legacy campaign. I actually did back that one. I got that. They made a mistake, and they sent me the non-deluxe version of the game, even though I pledged for the deluxe version of the game. And I just wanted to let you know, as far as the publisher goes, when I contacted them and I told them that, they sent me a whole new version of the deluxe version of the game. So they were very good about replacing it. They were no problems with it. I've experienced other things with other publishers like Gray Fox Games, who sent me a box for a campaign that I backed for them called Tsukiyumi Full Moon Down. The box was so damaged, if you opened it up, it just fell apart. And it was a huge miniatures game. So there's no way to transport that. And I told them, it wasn't just a little box defect, it was a box that you couldn't take anywhere because it falls apart. And I told them about that when that game shipped, and they basically told me, we can't do anything for a year at least. And I've been back in touch with them, and they still have failed to get me a functional box. So I'm just kind of citing them as an example of a publisher that didn't come through, Gray Fox Games. But Cogito Ergo Meeple, even though they're new to the game, they did a really upstanding job of honoring their commitment and getting me the proper version of the game. And that means that now I have an extra copy of the base game, so I'm either going to sell that off, or in the future, I'll give it away or raffle it off through my YouTube channel. Anyway, this is Luddite. This is by the same people who did Solar 175. We're not going to watch a video for this because it gives you such a tiny amount of the gameplay, and then it just kind of previews the graphic novel. It shows you the graphic novel that I don't think that we really need to see. But this is a roll and write campaign with a graphic novel. That's what this entire campaign is for. So unfortunately, we don't really have a good video to look at. We're just going to kind of go through and look at the campaign for this one. But they had a funding goal of $14,000. They're at $16,500, so this is funded, and the campaign is going to end on August the 5th. Now, if we go down, you can see some of the information about this game. Rado really likes it. Some other... Mark Streed really liked it. Okay, and here are the pledges. So there is a pledge for a print and play. So £4. I believe in the US this is actually, it works out to being $5. So if you wanted to pledge this, it's $5. They say 6 here. I think it's about $5 based on current conversions. And one thing to note though, even though this is a print and play, it's not going to be delivered until the physical game is delivered. So they're not telling you that this is going to be coming early. So even though it's just a print and play, you're still looking at a delivery date that's over a year off, almost a year and a half off for this. Same with the digital game. So you can pledge this for £8. In the US, it's about $11. And this is a digital version of the game. But again, you won't actually be able to play it until December 2024. And then this is the real pledge of the game right here. It's for the game itself, Luddite, £35, about $46. Now, this is the only pledge that you need to worry about shipping for. So I will tell you, in the continental US, you're looking at about $9 in shipping, which brings this pledge price overall to about $55. And this will include a physical version of this roll and write game plus this graphic novel. So you'll be getting both of those. And if we scroll down further, there aren't really add-ons for this campaign, in addition to there not being a video. But here's a kind of a look at some of what's going on with this. The only add-on that they've listed here is this extra player pack. So if you want to add an extra player into the game, you can do this. It is £9 or $12. But they do also talk about their previous game here, Solar 175. And they talk about it at the end of the campaign if you're interested in that. That space-themed legacy game. They have copies, basically. They have copies that you can add on in the Pledge Manager and when you go through and pledge your copy of the game. And if you'd like to see more about Solar 175, it's at the end of this campaign. They kind of talk about it. There's some quotes. There are other videos and things like that. So you can check that out, but I'm really looking forward to getting Solar 175 to the table. There's also a design diary here about Luddite. Okay, so this campaign is going to end in August 5th, and the game is going to deliver in December 2024, and that includes the print and play and the digital version of the game. All right, moving forward, Shards of Infinity Saga Collection. Now, this is another game that's been out for a while. Shards of Infinity was originally published back in 2018, and it was published by Stoneblade Entertainment. Now, these names here, the designer Gary Arant, Justin Gary, specifically, most importantly Justin Gary, but also Gary Arant and the artist Aaron Nakuhara and the publisher Stoneblade Entertainment, all of these designers, artist, publisher, they're probably best known for Ascension. So back in the day, the big deck builder that made deck builders a thing was Dominion. The second deck builder to the table, which Dominion, while being known as having many expansions and a lot of versatility and variability in that game, people have a problem sometimes with it being kind of almost lacking theme and the art being kind of boring and old, very kind of old school Euro-y. But Ascension was really the next big deck builder that came along. It put fantasy art. There was kind of a card market that you could buy from. Since then there have been so many of these deck builders, kind of old school deck builders like Thunderstone Quest, the original Thunderstone, really, Hero Realms, Star Realms, the Legendary games. There are a lot of deck builders out there, but it really started with Dominion and then Ascension. So when you look at this team, this is a team of people that have been working on deck builders almost since the very beginning. And Shards of Infinity is a deck builder with a time travel theme. There's been a lot of expansions and things like that for it, but that's all going to be included in this new campaign. And as we see here, the original game, 2018 launch, it's at 7.5 on Board Game Geek, and it is a light game, so it doesn't even have a weight of over 2.0. That's what would make it a medium light game, meaning this is just a light game. Very simple, very easy. Now, let's take a look at this campaign. We are going to watch the video for this, and then we'll go over the 4 different pledges here.
It is time, Shardbearer, to end this war. The others are weak, bound to shards of their own, and clawing at this world from their villages, forests, temples, and fortresses. I can offer you the power to crush them, the power to raise armies in your name. The power to tear the shards from their lifeless bodies and claim the world for yourself. All you need to do is ask. It is time to master the Shards of Infinity.
Wait, they're going to give you more.
Hi, I'm Justin Gary, CEO of Stoneblade Entertainment and one of the lead designers of Shards of Infinity. Shards of Infinity is a fast-paced deck-building game where you take on the role of a Shard Master, bound to a powerful crystal that grows more powerful every turn. Players will compete against each other, recruiting powerful allies and increasing their mastery over the Shard until one remains victorious. Whether you're new to deck-building games or a long-time fan of the genre, Shards of Infinity is a game you'll enjoy playing again and again. It's fast to set up and easy to learn. Each game, you'll select your unique Shard Master and take your starting deck of cards, using gems to acquire new cards from the ever-changing center row, and power to defeat your enemies and their champions. Shards of Infinity can be played as a standalone game in as little as 30 minutes. Or you can play the new Saga mode to unlock all of the content with additional achievements and storyline as the game progresses. The Saga edition contains all of the expansions released for Shards of Infinity, including all the promo cards we've ever printed, and new promo cards that will exclusively be unlocked for this Kickstarter. Shards of Infinity Saga Edition comes in one convenient carry box with upgraded components and upgraded cards. There are 3 modes of play, including PvP, solo, and cooperative. The Saga Edition also introduces a brand new Shard Master, allowing you to play with up to 6 players, including 6 starting decks, 6 upgraded character dials, and over 300 cards. I've been designing deck building games since 2010 when I released the original version of Ascension. Shards of Infinity is the culmination of all of those years of experience designing and playing these games. And the Saga Edition is the ultimate version of Shards of Infinity. I am so grateful to all the fans who have played our games and enjoyed them over the years and built such an incredible community. And I invite you to join us on this chapter as this Kickstarter unlocks the Saga Edition of Shards of Infinity.
Okay, so, you heard the man. He basically said if you like Ascension, if you like Shards of Infinity, this is the best version of all of that designing experience of his. Now, they had a funding goal for this of $20,000. They're currently at $64,000, so they're well funded. And the campaign is going to end on July 27th. Here's what we've got in terms of pledges for this. There's 4 of them, not including this pledge manager tier. So you've got the Saga collection, and that's, this new version of the game. And right here we can see it includes all of these other things, the promo packs, all of these other expansions. So that's all in this $59 pledge. And the shipping on this in the continental US is $20, so you're looking at $79 total. Now let's go down a little bit further. So that's that first pledge level, right? Saga collection. And then if you go to the next pledge level here, this Mastery Edition, basically you're getting all of the cards foil editions. And that's going to have a $25 shipping fee in the continental US. So you're looking at $124 all in for that pledge. If we go a little bit further here, we're going to see this Saga collection plus shields. So shields are essentially sleeves. And you're getting a neoprene playmat as well. So this is $119. Again, it's $25 in shipping. So you're looking at about $144 all in on this. Now, this pledge level does not include those foil cards. So if you want to go even a little bit further to this pledge level here, the Mastery Edition plus Shields, you're essentially combining this pledge with the foil cards and this pledge with the sleeves and the neoprene mat. You're getting everything. This is $149, $30 continental US shipping on this one, so $179 total. And I believe that's all she wrote for this campaign. But it's going to deliver in July 2024, so we're about a year off from this one delivering. Now, there are a couple other pledge levels which I don't really need to include. I'm just going to just mention them. They're $2,000 each. So they're kind of ridiculous, right? There's a few of them. But they basically give you the ability to work with the designers and create a new card. But most people aren't going to be interested in those 3 pledge levels. They're going to be interested in either the base game, the game with the foil cards, the game with the sleeves and the mat, or the game with the sleeves, mat, and foil cards. And I should mention one last thing here after we go past all of these, vanity pledges. If we go down further, they're not really listed as add-ons per se, but they are other games by Stoneblade Entertainment that are going to be available in the Pledge Manager that you can pick up there. So this doesn't really relate to Shards of Infinity itself. See, there's the shipping table if you're interested in this. Every additional item that you add on is also going to be an additional $5. Okay, so if you're interested in Soulforge Fusion or Ascension Tactics, these are all things that you'll be able to add on in the Pledge Manager. All right, so that is Shards of Infinity, the Saga collection, the new greatest version of this game, everything kind of all in one. And I think if you're a fan of an Ascension back in the day, or if you've played some Shards of Infinity but you don't really have it in your collection, I think this would be a really good addition. And Stoneblade Entertainment, the publisher here, they've published so many games and run so many Kickstarters. I think this is a super safe back. I don't think you have to worry about them at all. And Stonespine Architects is our penultimate campaign of the video here. They had a funding goal of $40,000. They're currently at $78,000. So they're good, they're funded, and the campaign is going to end on August the 1st. Now, this game is a closed drafting and pattern building game. It's also got some hand management to it, tableau building, and it's designed by Jordi Adon, who worked on Cartographers and Cartographers Heroes, which are 2 other games in the Thunderworks role player universe. Cartographers is one of my favorite roll and write games, probably along with Welcome to. So it's the same designer who worked on Cartographers and Cartographers Heroes, and he also did some work on Trudvang Legends, which is a CMON miniature game that had a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And in terms of Thunderworks games, the publisher here, they've put out Role Player and all of the additional Role Player games, like Role Player Adventures, Lockup, a Role Player Tale, both Cartographers games, Dawn of Eulos, which is the most recent Role Player Tale game, although that one has not delivered yet, so it's delivering very soon. But those are all games in this universe, and if you know the universe, if you know some of those games and those designers, this might be for you. Keeping in mind, this is a closed drafting game, pattern building, tableau building, hand management, and as I show you the video, you're going to see that it's the same designer as Cartographers, and it looks a lot like Cartographers in the way the game plays. There are some carryover mechanics, I think, from that roll and write game, but this is a physical game. Let's take a look at this, and then we'll look at the 6 different pledges, which I think there's really 2 in my opinion, but there's some other pledges that kind of bundle things together in different ways.
Dungeon crafting is an ancient Minotaur art, passed down from master to apprentice for eons. You've studied under Master Hortgully for a decade, and now it's time to demonstrate your skill. You must carve your own perilous dungeon into the Stonespine Mountains. Cullback Prison will provide labor, and Lord Duntum will bring beasts to populate your constructions with his beastly menagerie. The builder whose dungeon proves the most challenging will earn the title of Master Architect. Stonespine Architects is a competitive card drafting game for 1 to 5 players. Draft chamber cards featuring monsters, traps, and treasures to create your dungeon. Arrange your dungeon carefully to complete your blueprint. Spend your gold wisely on new elements and scoring challenges during a dynamic market phase. Build the best fantasy dungeon to become the Master Architect.
Okay, so let's take a look at the 6 pledges here that are involved with this. You've got the Cartographer's Promos, which is a $4 pledge. This is just for promos to be used in the Cartographer's game. So it's not actually associated with Stonespine Architects. It's just Stonespine Architects related stuff that you can use in your Cartographer's game. So that is a $4 pledge, and there's going to be $4 shipping in the continental US on this as well, so $8 total. You can also pledge just for a plushie. So it's $20 in the continental US, $8 shipping, $28 for this pledge. Now we actually have the game here. So at this pledge level, Stonespine Architects, you're going to get the game and the mini expansion. It's $36. This is going to have $8 shipping on it as well. So you're looking at a total of $44 for this in the continental US. If you go to this pledge, you're getting the game, and you're getting the mini expansion, and you're getting that promo pack. And again, you need to have the Cartographer's game to use this promo pack. But assuming you have Cartographers, you really like it, maybe that's part of the reason why you're backing this, you may also want to pick up this promo pack. So this pledge for Stonespine Architects and the promos, $40. It also has $8 shipping, so $48 for this. We go down a little bit further here. Now you're throwing the plushie in, but you're taking out the promo pack. So you've got the game, the mini expansion, the plushie. This is a $56 pledge, $10 shipping in the continental US for a total of $66. And then if we go down to the final pledge level, the all-in, they just add that promo pack back in. So you've got the game, the mini expansion, the plushie, and the promo pack. And this one, just like the pledge above it, $10 shipping in the continental US. So you're looking at a $70 total for this. I don't believe there are any add-ons in this campaign, although there's probably a possibility to add in the plushie, but you don't really need to, because any pledge that you might want to include the plushie in, there is a pledge that includes the plushie. The same with the mini pack. So you probably won't need to add it on as an add-on. You just need to choose your pledge properly. And then this campaign is planning on delivering in April 2024, so a little bit less than a year. And that brings us to our final campaign for Sword and Sorcery Abyssal Legends. This one had a minimum funding goal of $50,000. They're at $193,000 right now, so they're pretty well funded. And this campaign is going to end on July 26th. Now, this is another game that's existed before. So let's go over and take a look at that. We're going to look at 2 versions of the game, though, because we've got Sword and Sorcery, and then we've got Ancient Chronicles. Now, each of these versions of the game is like its own campaign. So this was the original version published. Sword and Sorcery was published in 2017. It's got a 7.9 on Board Game Geek, and it has a weight of 4.09. So that is well into the heavy range of games, which usually starts at about a 3.33. So they made Sword and Sorcery, and then they went and they made kind of a side quest called Arcane Portal. They made Darkness Falls, which was kind of an Act 2. So that was Act 2. And then they made Vestarius' Lair, which is a side quest that you might want to play around Darkness Falls. So essentially for this first campaign, you've got the base game, you've got kind of a side quest, you've got an Act 2, and you've got a side quest for Act 2. There are also some other hero packs and other things that you can do to add more content to the game, but those are the main parts of Sword and Sorcery, and this campaign is also known as Immortal Souls. Okay, then in 2021, they did a new series. So this is a kind of a standalone campaign, and it began with Sword and Sorcery Ancient Chronicles. It's got a higher rating than the original campaign, so this is an 8.4, and it's even heavier. It's a 4.44, so this is a very heavy game. Now, this was essentially a new Act 1, so you can start here and just play this game. Then they made a sequel for it. It's called Northwind Tales. That expansion has an 8.8 on Board Game Geek. They also did an expansion called Myths of the Arena, which you can play with either trilogy, and it just adds on this kind of arena and arena quests and that kind of element to the game. So essentially what we've got the first game, which had an Act 1, it had an Act 2, it had side quests for each act, and then we have Ancient Chronicles, which has the base game is its Act 1, Northwind Tales is its Act 2, and now Abyssal Legends is its Act 3. However, you can also take this new Abyssal Legends and use it as an Act 3 for the original series. So you've got an Act 3 here that you can kind of add on to either campaign, because both campaigns up to this point had 2 acts. However, this really is intended more as a third act to the Ancient Chronicles series. So these are dungeon crawlers. This whole series are dungeon crawlers, and they're published by Ares Games. They've published a lot of games, but if you were to go over to here in Board Game Geek and just click on them, they're an Italian publisher, which means they've done a lot of Italian versions of other games. So clicking on this won't give you a good idea of the games that they've actually created or published. The best way to do that is probably just to go to their Kickstarter page here, click on this, and then you can see what they actually created themselves and the campaigns that they've actually run and fulfilled. And so definitely there's Sword and Sorcery games in that group. We've also got Orconomics 2nd edition, Masters of the Night, Tripods and Triplanes, The War of the Worlds and Wings of Glory, Masters of the Galaxy, a 4X game, Divinity Derby, Dungeon Time, Age of Conan, Galaxy Defenders, Wings of Glory. I think this is the original, probably base game for this, which was probably an expansion. And Galaxy Defenders, right? So this is all the stuff that they've actually crowdfunded themselves and created on their own. Okay, so my point here, though, is that while they've done the Italian version for a lot of games, they have produced a bunch of games on their own, and I think you're probably okay backing this one. I wouldn't worry about it too much. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch the video, and then we're going to look at the 2 pledges for this game as well as the add-ons. But I think if you were paying attention to the way I kind of described the order of the games, then things should make more sense for you.
We thought the final battle was over. But we were wrong. The stars are ready. A terrible menace is rising from the abyss. And the immortal heroes are our only hope. Those who descend into the depths of the abyss will discover the fears that dwell in their mind. Beware, for if you gaze too deeply into the abyss shall gaze back into you. With beautiful components and rich gameplay, Sword and Sorcery has been acclaimed by players and critics alike as one of the very best cooperative fantasy board games. In the Ancient Chronicles Saga, you play together as a group of immortal heroes in their journey across the perils of a legendary world. Dungeon exploration, tactical combat, and a rich storytelling blend together to create a unique game experience. In Sword and Sorcery, all monsters become dangerous opponents, thanks to the sophisticated AI system controlling them, with no need for a game master. Defeat monsters using a fun and sophisticated combat system, and level up your heroes to raise them to legendary status again. And now, Ares Games and Gremlin Project present the most epic sword and sorcery expansion ever made. Abyssal Legends. Investigate the mysterious death at the Heavenshine Monastery. Visit the Abbey, talk with the clerics, explore ancient corridors, and unveil the truth. Embark on an epic journey and traverse treacherous lands and dangerous seas in your quest to stop the impending apocalypse. Master the art of sailing as you navigate the treacherous waters together. Protecting and repairing your ship is essential to complete your quest. You need huge weapons to fight huge creatures. Let the cannons roar. Unleash the power of gunpowder as you bring new and devastating weapons to the battlefield. Carefully load your ammunition and take aim at your enemies with precision and deadly accuracy. Beware the dangers that lurk in the abyss, where perilous creatures and corrupted cultists threaten not only your physical health, but also your mental well-being. Uncovering the secrets of the abyss can take a toll on even the strongest of heroes, leaving them vulnerable to mental instability. With the help of the gods, a strong will, and a bit of luck, your hero may just be able to maintain their sanity and emerge victorious. Be strong, for those who take arms against the abyssal monsters must be vigilant not to become a monster themselves. Forge your determination, set the sails, and brace yourself for the epic climax of Ancient Chronicles Saga. Abyssal Legends.
Now, one thing to be aware of, which you should have gleaned from that video, is that this is Cthulhu themed, this new expansion. And the other thing that you should know is that the original game series, which started with just Sword and Sorcery, which is also called Immortal Souls, that you cannot get through this campaign. So you can only get the new series through this campaign that started with Ancient Chronicles. So let's take a look at our pledges here. We've got this pledge right here, Abyssal Hero. So that's going to get you the new expansion and this Kickstarter content. This is a $99 pledge, and they haven't really given shipping, but they've done some estimations, and they're estimating shipping for this at $35. So in the continental US, you're looking at about $134 for this new expansion. Now, if you want to, you can go in and add on the previous 2 acts in the Ancient Chronicles series. So this is the second series. Starts with Ancient Chronicles. The second game is Northwind Tales, and then there's extras and things. There's the original Kickstarter extras, and then you've got the new game and the Kickstarter extras for that. So it's essentially 3 games in one, 3 acts that are one big campaign. It's $249, and based on what the publisher has said, we're guesstimating that the shipping in the continental US for this is going to be about $55. So you're looking probably around $304 for this once you've dealt with shipping in the continental US. But those are the only 2 pledges. So there isn't a way in this campaign to get the original Sword and Sorcery or the Darkness Falls Act 2 for that series, or the expansions for Basterius' Lair or Arcane Portal. If you want to get those games, if you want to get that series, you're going to need to, look for it in retail or something like that. But this is the way you could get all 3 games in the new version of the series. That's the stuff, the Kickstarter contents that are coming in this, though. So you've got a dice tray, this bag, this honkin' crazy miniature with a translucent water base, glows in the dark, some other hero sheets and miniatures, stuff like that. That's everything that's in that package. Okay. And let's just go back just to confirm. Yeah. Okay, so there are these add-ons. And as they say, this is a gold add-on, so this is an optional item that's not included. A silver add-on here, there's 1 copy is already included in the Abyssal Hero rewards, and then bronze add-ons are reprints from previous campaigns. So let's take a quick look at this. You've got a hero dashboard. If you want for $9, you can get a pack for $35. Looks like 5 of them. And then you've got this, which already comes in your new expansion. So you shouldn't need to add this on unless for some reason you're wanting an extra copy of this miniature. Also, you shouldn't need more dice trays unless you want additional. You can add on more for $9. And then we go to stuff from the previous series. So you can buy the Tristan Hero pack. You can buy the Spawn Gates and Shrines. These are just going to be upgrades that you can use in your new, the new series. You've got doors and chests. You've got metal crowns. You've got a dice set. So most of this is cosmetic upgrades. But you can get this additional hero pack, but you can't get any of the, the big original base game expansion or those side quest expansions. So you can do an all-in here with the new version, which is the Ancient Chronicles, now trilogy, but you can't get the original campaign stuff. And this project is planning on delivering in October of 2024, so a year plus off for this one. And that was the final campaign of the video, so thank you very much for joining me. If you haven't liked or subscribed, you can do that. For right now, I'm concentrating on these crowdfunding Roundup videos. I do them once a week. They normally premiere on Fridays. However, I will be launching new types of content in the back half of this year. There's going to be a relaunch of my teach and review series with better equipment, better camera equipment and lighting and stuff like that. And I'm also going to start live streaming games. So if for any reason the crowdfunding videos really aren't your thing, but you might be interested in my teach and review videos, or you might want to join me for live streaming content, which is going to include everything from solo games, medium light strategy games to heavy Euros, and big campaign games, dungeon crawlers, storytelling and narrative exploration games, and legacy and campaign games, you might still want to subscribe just so that when I do launch that content later in the year, you're notified and you're already in the loop. I'll be back next Friday with a new video, and while I don't know everything that I'll be covering next week in that video because a lot of those campaigns haven't launched yet, I do know that I will likely be including Mordred, which is the new Simon campaign that just launched on Kickstarter yesterday, as well as the new On the Underground campaign, Paris and New York. That campaign already ran previously on Kickstarter about a year ago, but they're now doing a Gamefound campaign for that game. So I will likely be looking at that campaign on Gamefound next video as well, and a bunch of other things that have yet to launch. Until then, have a great week, have a great weekend, play lots of great games, take care, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.